Hi, welcome to Caribou Country Lifestyle. Today I'm going to be making some cream potatoes, and I just need to get my ingredients that are going to be going into the cream potatoes, and I'm just bringing you along for that. I actually had a request for one of the recipes that I had talked about previously in one of my other videos. I had put out a video about collecting potatoes, dill, and green onions, and I make cream potatoes. I don't really have a recipe. I have a recipe in my head because we were at some friend's house and they had made these cream potatoes, and I was like, oh my gosh, these are amazing. How did you make them? And she said, well, I just, cook the potatoes, and then after I've cooked the potatoes, like in a pot of water, and usually potatoes take about 30 minutes from the time they come to a boil until the time that they are fork tender when you stick your fork in and they break. I am only going to cook these once it comes to a boil. I'm only going to cook them for about 20 minutes instead of 30 minutes, and then I'm going to drain them, and I'm using the new potatoes from out of the garden. I predominantly, when I dug up my potatoes, I have a lot of little ones and then I have some bigger sized ones. I usually fill my pot up with all the little ones. I have already cleaned these, as I showed you previously, and I've already chopped up my green onions. Sometimes, like especially in the wintertime when I don't have green onions. I will use regular white onions, yellow onions, whatever I buy from the grocery store, and I will actually cut the onion and peel it, cut the onion in half, and then slice those halves into slices. And I will use that instead of green onions. But I have green onions in my garden, so I'm going to be using them. So now I'm going to fill up the pot with these potatoes. And like I say, I'm going to put all the small potatoes in. These little ones, I'm not even going to cut. And then what I'll do is I'll start cutting up the bigger sized ones. No, I won't cut that one up. But about this size, then I'll start cutting them in half. And I'm gonna fill up the pot. The measurements change because depending on how many potatoes I'm actually going to be cooking up, there's only 3 of us that live here at the house. I do a lot of entertaining, so I mean, and we like leftovers. Like, we love leftovers because Jamie takes leftovers to work. I take leftovers to work. Austin eats leftovers the next day. And also, because Austin is gluten and dairy free, in my video I was saying that, you know, you would normally use whipping cream in this recipe, but because my son is dairy free, I am going to be using a can of coconut milk. So I'm going to aim to fill up this pot depending on how many potatoes I have. And I'm going basically using my smallest to my biggest potatoes, and we will go from there. Now the potatoes are getting bigger now, and I am also cooking up chicken wings. And the chicken wings are from our chickens that we raised ourselves. We raise meat birds, and we get the chicks. They're a day or 2 old. We get the chicks. We raise them up. When they're about 8 or 9 weeks old, then we process the chickens ourselves. This year, instead of having whole chickens, we ended up cutting all of the chickens up into pieces. So I pulled out a pack that had 20 chicken wings, and that's the whole wing. It's all attached, the drumette, the wing, and the tip. It's all put together. So those 20 wings, we really have 40 wings if you were to separate them with the tips. I guess I'll just cut up a big potato here, because I'm just trying to relatively fill this pot. And then I'll just cut that into sections. And then I'll cut this one up as well. And I'm just going to fill this up with water. So my potatoes have been boiling for 20 minutes. Now I'm going to drain my potatoes first. And that is hot. So is that.
Hey, dear.
Hi.
Time to have.
Probably about 15-20 minutes. Okay. So those are cooked as much as I need them to be cooked. Now, what I'm going to do, so Jamie was up at the gun range practicing because he has a shooting competition for provincials, and we will be going to Kamloops soon for that, and we'll be taking our trailer again, but Kamloops has a lot more to offer than Quesnel did. So I'm going to be going to Costco, Art Nap, Value Village. There's a health food store there that I get a lot of my dairy-free products for my son. I get his butter from there. I also look for certain types of dairy-free cheese from there as well. And I just kind of look around and see what other products that they might have to offer. So I like to use my electric frying pan moving forward into this recipe. And it's a non-stick electric frying pan. The reason I like to use it, because once I get all my ingredients put in here, and then I like to keep it warm so that the flavors kind of just meld together, and I give them about, 10 minutes of just keeping things warm and kind of just doing their thing. So first I'm gonna turn my electric frying pan on, and I have it on to about 275, 300 degrees. And then I'm going to take, this is dairy-free butter, so it's vegan butter, and this is Earthbound buttery spread, and I use that in place of real butter. And with this amount of potatoes, I'm going to use anywhere from 1/4 to 1/2 cup, depending on how it coats the potatoes, because now I want to actually fry the potatoes in the butter. And if I was using like a cooking onion instead of green onions, I would have the sliced onions and I would add them in with the potatoes. I'm just going to get a knife. Oh, I have one here. And this is 1/2 cup in this stick. So I will use, whoops, I just dropped part of my butter into the sink. Isn't that awesome? Gotta get it out of the sink. No, I just get it so it's melted. Oh yeah. So I'm just gonna do 1/4 cup of butter, and that's what I mean. I don't really have a lot of measurements. It all depends on how many potatoes I'm gonna be using. That's what determines what my ingredients, or the amount of my ingredients, will look like. So I'm just waiting for the butter to melt. Okay, my butter's melted. I'm gonna add my potatoes in. I use a variety of sizes. I'm just going to spread them out so that I actually have more potatoes than I thought. I'm going to add a little bit more. So probably in total, I'm going to add half of what I have left here, so that would be 1/3 cup. I'm just going to pull my potatoes off to the side, let that melt. Maybe I'll add some on the other side too. My non-stick coating isn't as good in the center. It's kind of worn off. I actually need to get another. I've had this electric frying pan for, oh gosh, I probably had it for probably almost 20 years. Okay. I'm gonna add some salt. And I add salt now, but I will taste it after and just make sure. And some pepper. I love pepper. think I'm just going to add the rest of this butter here, so that's a full stick. So it all depends. Like I say, I don't really have a set measurement. So that would be a half a stick of butter, or a half a cup of butter actually, in total, that I put in here. We'll let that melt down. Okay. I'm going to add my green onions and my dill that I've already pre-chopped. And I also like to add bacon. Now if you had bacon that you could fry up, that would be good too. I don't have any bacon to fry up. I just use the Hormel bacon. And I'm only going to add just a little bit. I usually get bigger bags than this from Costco, but I don't get to go to Costco until I get to Kamloops. So I went and bought a little bag, which is super expensive. Okay. If you're not dairy free, I would just add a container this size of whipping cream, and this is 473 mils of whipping cream, but because we are using coconut milk, I just took the lid off, and I like to mix up, make sure that the coconut milk is mixed up really well before I pour it in there. Because there's some parts that are thicker in the can than other parts. Pour that over the potatoes, and it does actually thicken and coats the potatoes just like the whipping cream would do. Then once it's thickened, then I will just turn this down to warm. And I'm going to try it, of course, and see how it tastes, and see if I need to add any more salt or pepper to it. But it starts thickening up. And that creamy goodness. I'm just going to turn my heat down a little to 250 now. Okay, I just want a little piece of potato. I don't want a lot. Just want to see if the salt part of it is good. No. Maybe just a touch more. This is just Costco sea salt. I'm going to turn that down some more. Some of the potatoes got probably a little more cooked than others, but you get the general idea. So there it is. There is my cream potatoes. Everybody seems to really like them a lot, and yeah, they're great. I just have to wait for the wings to finish cooking. So thanks for joining me. I just wanted to have you have a look at what the recipe looks like. Like I say, the measurements aren't really I don't really have a set amount depending on how much I'm making, but it changes each time I make it. So thanks for joining me, and we'll talk again soon. Bye for now.